Hi, and welcome to Animalia the Podcast. I'm Natasha, and thank you so much for tuning in. And Happy New Year! Hope everyone's holidays were enjoyable and quiet. Wait, what am I saying? It could never have been quiet with all the fireworks, right? Just one more thing we need to take action on in 2021. Remember to check out the website animaliathepod.weebly.com for archived episodes. Search Animalia the Pod on your favorite podcast platform or SoundCloud or YouTube every Friday fortnight for a new episode. And you should also like and follow the Facebook and Instagram pages. And if you'd like to appear on the podcast, send me an email at animaliathepod@gmail.com. For the first episode of Animalia this year, I had a chat with a very interesting woman who's only been in Trinidad for about 5 years, but she's already picked up an accent. She's a communications professional, she's a history and culture buff, the founder of an NGO called Lost and Found, an international soca DJ, and mom to 3 dogs and 3 cats. Please welcome to Animalia, Mika Raguaa. Start off by telling me a little bit about yourself, your first and last name, and where you are from. Where were you born?
So my real name is Dominika Tux. People usually know me as DJ Mika. I am originally from Poland. I grew up in Germany. Since 5 years, I am living in Trinidad and Tobago.
And how did you manage to come to Trinidad?
My beats for music and nature. Since I am in Trinidad, my heart beats for nature also. So I'm a DJ, an international DJ for Caribbean music. I got inspired by soca, and soca was for me a very positive and very, very uplifting music, and I always wanted to find out more about the roots. So I found out more about Trinidad, I found out more about soca. Later on I became DJ and started to DJ. So my journey brought me here to Trinidad to do some music research, to perform. My charitable activities developed aside during my stay and throughout my experience.
And so when you were growing up in Germany, did you have animals?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I think the first animal I had was a hamster. I was 7 years old. Where I come from, you are getting in touch with pets quite early, but always together with a certain responsibility. So with my little 7 years, I already had the responsibility for this little hamster to feed it and stuff, and everybody was taking care that I really do it. So in early ages, you are actually getting socialized for the care of animals already. And later on, my sister had a dog, and I was always walking out with the dog. And when I was studying, I always was looking out for a dog that I could carry out, and had a little cat as well. Principally, pets, always in my life, but treating in a different way on my side of the world than in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes. Well, tell me about that. How is it different? Is the culture of care and protection of animals is different in Europe?
Well, I can only speak about Germany thus far, right? It's still different from country to country, but when it comes to Germany is a country which is very controlling you as a citizen, which means you have to be registered at any times, and which means at the same time everything around you will be registered too. So every animal you have is a registered animal of the country of Germany. Right? So in every county you have different rules of taxes to pay for that animal, and also you have in some counties so-called licenses for dogs. People are not often having a yard outside, which means that they are holding the animals indoors. Some cats are able to go outside, but dogs are usually held indoors. Basically is you care for the dog 24/7, right? He's one of the closest to you, and even when you look on family pictures, you mostly see the dog on the picture as well.
Yes. They're part of the family, as they should be. You had been evicted from your home because of the animals. Tell us about how that situation happened.
Due to the COVID situation, it is not so easy to find work in media and music right now. So I had to pull back a little bit with my personal finances, and I decided to rent a little office lower down in Sawa, close by Mova Junction. I had even the idea of open a little event location in it, and there was this one day when somebody dropped like 2 little puppies in front of it. It was an evening time, and the puppies were bawling and crying. And I decided to pick them up and take them. And on the property where the office was, I also found a little cat and friended up with it and called it Polori. Unfortunately, Polori was wounded. He had a little broken foot, so I was caring for him too. So it was the cat and later on these 2 puppies that were in my hands. And a short time afterwards, somebody brought me a next dog to care for. So I tried to find a home for all of them, but I didn't get through. And at the same time, I got put very under pressure from my landlord, even though the animals were not doing anything or anything bad, and I was always cleaning up. But it was probably also like a little personal dispute between us. But he evicted me because of the animal. I had to sleep on the street for a night, but it was also like a little bit to show like in the neighborhood that it's not okay what's going on. It was a little revolution from myself because I didn't want to leave there, and one of the dogs was still inside. And afterwards a little bacchanal started because I couldn't find a new home. It is very hard in Trinidad to find your home when you have animals already. So I now have a cat and 3 dogs, and all of us were looking for an apartment, but it was not really successful. What I see is that have people that feel that they have a certain power over animals, like that they are somebody better than animals. I really don't agree with that, because all of we are living on the same planet, and we have to deal with each other respectfully. And with anything, with any resources on this world, we have to deal with it respectfully and not exploiting or abusing or in any way. What I see is that a lot of parents teach their children the wrong way of treating animals. That's what I often see. That I see a child kicking a dog and the parents standing in the back and saying nothing. That kind of thing. Or I experienced already that I saw a group of children and they saw a snake and they started to mash down the snake. All of them, and they had a lot of fun. And that is what scares me. The children having fun to kill. Like to destroy a life, and without even knowing about that this one was not maybe one of these mapapis or macapis or And what I also find is that the knowledge is very low about the biodiversity of Trinidad in general, about how many butterflies, how many birds, which kind of birds. Many don't really know that it has like more than 23 different species of hummingbird. Many think a hummingbird is hummingbird. That the appreciation for the environment itself is not really there. It's like more like, okay, wild meat, that is something to eat, but that is not an animal per se. It's more like a Pokemon that you catch. That's what I find very sad. But happily, it has also great people here that are caring, and I'm always glad to meet them here and there. Like from the El Socorro Wildlife Center, for example. That's now down Freeport side. And of course, all the organizations that do their little work with the spaying or with the catching of animals or the short-term care. I appreciate that a lot. But I find same way as when it's about treating the environment, about throwing away things, in that direction. Some teaching needs to be done. Some understanding needs to go way deeper than it is right now. That you just don't do it, that you just don't throw plastic in the bush. And the same way, the treatment of animals needs to come more on the spot.
A lot of people have said that to me as well, that they feel that animal welfare should be on the curriculum in schools. You know, children should be learning about this at school.
Yeah.
We can't rely on a lot of the homes. They learn the bad ways, you know, how not to treat animals.
But you know, there's also a big difference when it comes to media education. It's not only the school that would be helpful, it would be the media too. Successful stories of animals in Trinidad. Did you know that a so-called donkey was born the other day in the safari park in Chagarama? There's a mix of a donkey and a zebra, and that's an animal. That's a so-called animal story, like the story of the two little white tigers in the Emperor Valley Zoo. And you don't really hear stories about that. Those kind of information are not really coming out when somebody is really having a successful rescue story. That we say somebody is finding a dog and a new home will be found and that dog will become very helpful or even a kind of hero. That would be so interesting for the people here to know, but these kind of media are not really showing up recently. And what you also don't really have is those shows that actually were quite popular in the 90s, like Flipper and Lassie and stuff like that. That was very helpful shows for children to learn on how animals can be, that it can be a kind of friendship relation that you can have between a human being and an animal. There was Flipper, Lassie, then it had Black Beauty, Mr. Ed. I remember all of these shows.
No, that's very true. That's a very good point. That the media and how animals are portrayed in fictional stuff in films and TV is not as much in the forefront as it used to be. That's very true.
You know, what I really dislike is that many people here don't really understand that animals have feelings as well. They are feeling afraid, they are feeling hungry, they are feeling happy, and often these emotions are not really getting seen from the owner proper. Mm-hmm. Right? Like the animal is aside. Many people don't really know that dogs are actually group animals, that they like to live in a group, and once they don't have a group and they are just sitting in the kennel outside all day, that is totally against their social behavior.
Correct.
When you are not giving the dog the chance to run, to go by the river, to swim in the sea, or, you know, like when you are not giving the dog the chance, the dog will not do what you want, and so probably will start to get frustrated and treat the dog even worse. Like, that's what I often see. And what I also see often is that it has people that like animals, but often they automatically become enemies with neighbors. And so and so the neighbors are trying to kill out these animals. I experienced that personally already several times, that I woke up one day and my dog just dead. And it was poisoning, and it's just because somebody else in the neighborhood don't want me to have this dog. Mm-hmm. And I find that it's very, very low when it comes to social behavior. I personally believe that it is very important to have a good relationship to animals in general for life. As a human being, I find it personally very important. And I would really appreciate when people would study that a little bit more about how animals are really getting treated in their own homes and if it's really okay. And sometimes it would be great if people would just like study if they would like to be chained all day or they would like to sit in a coop all day. And animals are probably the most thankful creatures on this world. Once you are really given care for an animal, the animal is thanking you in thousands of ways. And when it's just coming next to you in the evening, when it's like a cat and the cat decides to spend its evening next to you, that is already a blessing for you. And I wish also that people here in Trinidad would see that it is a responsibility to care for animals, and it is a respectful thing when somebody is caring for somebody. Many people are caring for their parents or for children and stuff, and that is well respected. But when it comes to animals, you know, you have to feed them too every day. You are investing your money, you are giving your love, you're investing your free time. So that is something that people, like that the environment should treat respectfully as somebody who cares, you know, and not somebody who is creating a problem because of having an animal, you know, and only because you don't like the animal is nothing worth, has no value, but it have a value for the owner, you know. And that is eventually a sentimental value more than that the owner is seeing the dog like a trophy or something, or an investment. Still, it is important to care and to lobby these information. Right? It is important for people to know and understand how important animals are in general. Unfortunately, Trinidad is a country where it have a lot of things to discuss, and also, unfortunately, it have a lot of things that happen, and probably when it comes to police, they might be overwhelmed with those kind of things too, or they don't find it too important to do something, or it is not a big thing when a dog dies now. It's just a dog. But often the situation is that neighbors try to kill an animal to harm somebody instead of just getting rid of the animal too.
Let's talk about something a little more pleasant. So tell me a little bit about the animals that you have now. What are they like? What are their names? And what is for you in your life?
All right. So I've been caring for plenty animals already in Trinidad. I lost plenty also. I am actually known down in Sawa, El Socorro side, for being the white girl with the white dog. That was a little compact lady. Her name was Mika Raguaa. She decided to move in by me. She was pregnant when I moved in the place. She was the dog of my landlord. And she didn't really care for this dog. The dog was dirty, and she just got more and more pregnant. And at the beginning, I didn't even know I'd have a dog there. And she kind of opened my heart. She came closer. We became kind of friends. And she finally decided to breed in my home. I made her a little home, and that's how everything for me started when it comes to animal care, like really to help animals out. Mommy was such a thankful dog. She got poisoned as well, and it hurt so much. It hurt like the love of my life died. And I still afterwards decided to have animals. Due to my living situation, I was living in Lacano and started to take care of 7 puppies and the mother dog as well. And I was a kind of Doberman mix, a very, very tall lady. 7 puppies, 6 boys, wow, and 1 girl. Yeah, all kind of blackish. And I started to call them like Calypsonian. So it had Sparrow, it had Kitchener, it had Sandoli, it had Blakey, yeah, and Attila. And it also had Daisy. Daisy was the only girl, so Daisy, named after Daisy Voisin. And Daisy is still in my care. She's now a big dog, very long, tall legs. Unfortunately, she and Attila was the only ones that survived. All others got killed or they got overdriven by very careless drivers in the Lacano, Santa Cruz area that often just keep driving when they see an animal on the road. And it's up to the animal if the animal will survive or not. So I have Daisy. Then I found the 2 puppies down by Mova Junction there. And I call them Karma and Shiva. It came out Karma is actually no dog. She's a little dinosaur. She loves to eat everything. You always must provide any kind of toy for Shiva because she likes to chew on everything. And her sister Shiva is more like a cow. She prefers to chew on grass, and she look a little bit like black and white. She really look like a cow too. So it's more a dinosaur and a cow, aka 2 dogs. And then it have Polori the cat. And Polori he have 3 legs. Like 1 leg had to be amputated because of the wound that he had. And all of them are very fine. And they love each other. They talk to each other. And all of us right now are sleeping on 1 mattress. or to get a hug up in the night. So I have about the living situation. After I got evicted, I wasn't really able to find a place to stay. And I remembered a man who offered me to settle down in Santa Cruz on a piece of land that belonged to his grandmother. So what I'm doing recently is reconstruct the building. A roof pieces are missing and some technical material to fix up the place a little bit. So that's what I'm currently working on heavily. Photos, of course, will be shared of the progress of the little new home and also the headquarters of the Lost and Found Association. That is the name of my little organization, which actually is a little bit more than just animal rescue. It's prevention of history, it's active life support, it's encouragement to creative ideas with people and also digitally with video clips with encouraging stories. So that's Lost and Found Association. lostandfoundtt.org is the website, and it's also found on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Yeah. And the idea behind is just like nothing and nobody in life needs to be lost. It can be found again, you know, like pieces of history. Currently, I'm researching on cinemas in Trinidad, you know, the lost cinemas. And I heard about the jukebox, for example, that it had jukebox and bars. So I tried to find out if I can see one of those old jukeboxes, and maybe they have an old playlist. With creative ideas, encouraging and giving people the chance to follow these projects that I do with people here locally in Trinidad. Yeah. And it had all kind of projects already wherever I was. I am a little bit like, I'm moving a lot and spending my time a little bit here and a little bit there, and wherever I am, I try to support with my knowledge, with my background information. I was studying media science and communication, so I have a little background in that direction. I did charitable work already very early. With 16, I had my own Greenpeace youth group. So I'm quite an active person, and I'm glad when I can share what I know, especially from where I come from. But what I also realize is that many people are handling history very different than on my side. On my side, memories are quite important. That you have a picture of your parents, that you have a picture of the first day at school, that kind of way. And I often meet people here in Trinidad that don't have these kind of memories. So how do they in general treat historical dates, past happenings emotionally? Like, it seems to have a different mindset in that compared to where I come from, because where I come from, it's like every book has got something to say and we have to keep that, and you know, and here a lot of things are getting thrown away just so like. But it is sad that people don't have the understanding that it is a part of your own history. And the history is now, and even a Walkman is now a piece of history. Yeah, or old cassette recorder. And I personally, as a scientist for media and communication, am very afraid of the movement of the digital world, because youth are nowadays growing up in a society where phones are there just like anything else, a chair or a table, right? So they are born with it. And I just believe that eventually that generation is facing the fact that they believe that only what is on the internet is there, is existing. So everything that will not appear on the internet, any music, any story, any book, any whatever, will become forgotten. So the more we can preserve, actually, the better. And we can't wait for any government, we can't wait for any institution to do that for us, because that is a part of our own history. It have a lot of ways of how you can treat an animal without even like spending money, because many people believe, oh yeah, well, I would like to have a dog, but somehow I'm afraid of the costs. But there are very many ways of how holding a dog is getting like cheap, and you also don't need always to buy the most expensive purina chow. You can also buy something cheaper and mix it with some rice or with some oats. They will love you still. So a dog's not supposed to be seen as something that costs plenty because it's giving you back so much. I think that's my final word.
Thank you so much for making the time to speak with me, and I promise that this interview will start us off in 2021 with a bang. I want to thank Mika so much for her time. I truly enjoyed the conversation, and although we haven't met yet, you can tell that she's a woman with a massive heart of love for Trinidad and Tobago. Be sure to check out Lost and Found TT on Facebook and Instagram. It's an interesting take on gathering memories and giving back to communities and families. My commentary this week is a bit of a heads up on what Animalia will be focusing on this year. Much of the same, but a few new bits thrown in. Of course, animal cruelty and neglect will be paramount. I'll continue to update you on the matter with Toro and any progress I make with the authorities. I would like to talk to more rescuers and shelters to hear their struggles and find out what national system for animal welfare would work best. We really do need a more comprehensive network of shelters that, importantly, are coordinated so that there's no overlap and that citizens are aware of where services are available. There should also be an educational component to this system to ensure that citizens are both informed and empowered to act when necessary to assist both humans and animals in need. The fireworks issue, while it only pops up at certain times of year, it must be addressed as well. I have seen efforts to boycott those who import and sell, but the regulation and enforcement of their use are clumsy and ineffective at best. We really must see this as both a noise pollution and animal welfare issue, and encourage more influential persons to add their voices to the chorus of those of us who want to see change. I would also like to investigate the breeding industry, such as it is in Trinidad, to see how much of a problem it really is for animals. How does an unregulated industry and the absence of standards impact on the growing stray population? You know this is an Adopt Don't Shop podcast, but I intend to approach this topic with as much objectivity as I can. For our first Rescue Me of 2021, allow me to describe the kittens in need of a home. Mika told me about these darling siblings who are almost a year old. The male is mostly white with some grey on his head and back, and the female is a calico-coloured tabby. Apparently they were born on a neighbouring property, and their mum thought her litter would be safer at Mika's place. So if you're interested in adopting one or hopefully both of these kittens, you can contact Mika at 372-0077. So that's episode 16 of Animalia. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a bit more about what it's like to integrate and adapt to a new country and how similar people are regardless of where they're from. I hope you'll stay tuned to Animalia for much, much more in 2021. I'm Natasha, and until next time, take good care and remember, love of your pets. Bye-bye.
I said welcome to sweet Trinidad, to have you here. I am very glad. Let me wish you happy holiday. I